The sixth grade recently studied Shakespeare and Shakespeare's life.
We also get to display Hamlet.
Before we studied him, I knew nothing about him except for a couple of his plays.
William Shakespeare was the son of a glove maker, so no one would have thought he would have written 36 plays and influenced our language like he did.
Some people may not realize it, but many phrases that we use today were made by Shakespeare.
Shakespeare was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, England.
Shakespeare was born in 1564. Well, that is what we think. No one really knows when Shakespeare was born.
It was a tradition to get baptized 3 days after you were born. Records show he was baptized on April 26th, so we think he was born on the 23rd of April.
7 years later, in 1571, Shakespeare attended King Edward IV Grammar School, where he learned how to read and write.
It's a good thing he did, or the English language would be rather boring.
In 1582, Shakespeare fell in love and got married to Anne Hathaway. Shakespeare married at just 18 years old.
Anne was 26. Their first child was Susanna, and they had twins named Hamnet and Judith.
Judith lived to be 77 years old, but
Tragedy strikes, and Harriman dies at age 11.
Shakespeare wrote 36 plays, usually grouped as tragedies, histories, or comedies. Some of his most common plays are Romeo and Juliet and Midsummer Night's Dream. In 1603, he wrote possibly the most famous tragedy called Hamlet. We read a version of Hamlet. Hamlet teaches you that revenge never works out.
Shakespeare had a very big impact on our language. He invented over 1,700 words and phrases which were included in plays and that we still use in our daily language. My favorite was "In a Pickle," which is from the play The Tempest and means stuck between two places, neither of which are good.
When parents say, "You'll eat us out of house and home," they are quoting Shakespeare.
Shakespeare came up with many of the words and sayings we use today, such as "wild goose chase" in the play Romeo and Juliet, and "for goodness sake" from the play Henry VIII.
One of my favorite sayings is "to kill with kindness" from the play Taming of the Shrew. What I like most about Shakespeare are the words or phrases he made up, like elbow space, gossip, and swagger.
Leapfrog, dwindle, lonely. Good riddance, seen better days, what's done is done. Dead as a doornail. A sorry sight, parting is such sweet sorrow.
Break the ice, there's a method to my madness, snail paste, and many more.
The words that he invented stuck because people started using them and they became popular. He got most of his words by changing nouns to verbs, verbs into adjectives, and connecting words that have never connected before.
You might be wondering where he performed all of his plays. Now is the time when I tell you that. Almost all of his plays were performed in the Globe Theatre.
The Black Plague caused all of the theaters to close down. This led to Shakespeare's first poem entitled Venus and Adonis.
When the theaters reopened following the Black Plague, the Globe Theatres was built in the River Thames in London.
1613 was a bad year for Shakespeare.
During the production of Henry VIII, one of the actors shot a can and a spark ignited the thatched roof of the theater. The Globe was rebuilt with a tiled roof.
Sadly, Shakespeare died in 1616 at the age of 53.
He died on April 23rd, the same day he was born.
Shakespeare passed away from a bad sickness.
Shakespeare's death will always be a mystery, but he will never be forgotten.
It's a wrap.